Hi there, Leila Francis here. I'm the founder of Vividly Woman. Thank you for registering for the Satiate Self-Love Starvation video series. I am thrilled to be here with you today to share with you some life experience and some wonderful tips to help you move from a place of self-judgment, lack of self-worth, to a place of radiant and abundant self-love. And I'm going to be introducing you throughout this video series to some absolutely gorgeous women. They happen to be the Vividly Woman Co-Facilitators. They are leaders, embodied leaders in the Vividly Woman community, which means that these are women who have devoted themselves to the Vividly Woman embodied leader training for at least 2 years. They are devoted to learning how to resource power from within themselves in order to live into their truest radiance and into their truest purpose. So I'm thrilled to introduce to you today a beautiful Vividly Woman Co-Facilitator. Her name is Diane Anderson. Diane lives in Vancouver, BC. She is a psychotherapist in private practice. She's also known as the Love Coach. And she is devoted to embodying self-love and reaping the delicious rewards in every area of her life. But today she's going to be speaking to you about how self-love has made a difference to her in her business and in her financial health. So welcome, Diane.
Thanks, Leila. Diane Anderson here in lovely Troncones, Mexico. I'm a relationship counselor and I like to be called the Love Coach, but I'm also a Vividly Woman Co-Facilitator, and we have just come off an amazing week with 14 beautiful women here in Troncones, Mexico doing Sacred Sensual Splendor, and we've had a delicious time, and it's really renewed for me what it was like for me to come here 2 years ago and begin my work with Vividly Woman. Coming here as a participant was a fabulous time. And you know, truth be told, as a relationship counselor, there was a lot going on in my life at the time. My relationship had just fallen apart and I was broken, not just broken-hearted, but I was broken, I was crushed. And I came to Sacred Sensual Splendor and really started to heal. Healed physically in terms of being surrounded by these lush facilities and with all the wonderful things I got to learn and do and experience here, but really started to heal not just the physical components of a trauma, but started to heal inside what was really, really hurting inside. Yes, I had been rejected in love, but more importantly, I recognized I had been rejecting myself. There really was a lack of self-love inside of me. So I'm pretty excited to say that it not only affected my personal life, but it really started to influence my professional life, my business, my finances, and I want to say a little bit about that. Because with Vividly Woman, we're focusing a lot, really want to invite and open the door for women to embody self-love, not just the physical side of making sure you eat right, or did you get enough sleep, and did you get your abs in today, your ab crunches in. This is really going beyond that. This is looking at what happens to us in the culture, what happens to us in the houses that we grew up in, the families we grew up in, what happened in our relationship histories that have created, as Leila says, self-love starvation. And I think that's profound and significant in all areas of our lives. But I want to talk to you a little bit about what it means in terms of your business life. You know, all business is about relationships. So if you don't have a good relationship with yourself, how can you have a good relationship with somebody out there who's your client or your customer or your vendor or your employee? So really good, healthy relationships start with you. And one of the things that I saw, certainly one of the things I see in my practice with many people who come to see me, male or female, is the way in which the beliefs about ourselves, the way in which we talk about ourselves, the way in which we think about ourselves, the ways in which we hold ourselves mentally, spiritually, psychologically, and then certainly how that gets translated into the physical. All of that is either a very, very loving, nurturing, not indulgent, although we can be indulgent, which is quite delicious, but in a very, very caring way. How do we hold ourselves? Or do we tend to be shaming? Do we tend to be filled with self-doubt? Do we tend to want to scold ourselves mercilessly those are the very, very sad, hurtful relationships that I think need to be examined carefully, because how we treat ourselves is the way in which we put that out into other relationships. So for example, if you don't value yourself, if you don't hold what you do as valuable, if you've got a negative mindset or a belief system operating that says, you know what, you really don't deserve all the good things that come out of your productivity. So one of the things I see frequently is people don't know how to charge for their services because they don't value themselves. The minute that that starts to change, and certainly I saw, a real drop in my clientele and a drop in my business when my relationship fell apart. Not because my relationship broke up, but because my relationship to myself was more pronounced as to how little I thought of myself. So healing that was significant to healing my business, and to certainly inviting back in all the prosperity that really was there to begin with. But when this relationship crisis happened, my self-talk just started to get very, very cruel. And instead of being kind and nurturing, I began to doubt myself. I began to be very sloppy and neglectful with the way in which I billed my clients, the way in which I collected the money, the way in which I was present in the room. So what I'm going to invite you to do is to take a look at what is the relationship you have with yourself, and how is that translating into your business. And I've got a tip for you. One of the things that comes in with shame, a really profound emotion, is that it tends to suppress us. It suppresses all our vitality. It suppresses our beauty. It suppresses our aliveness. And so when we start to get shamed, we literally start to hang our heads and close up. Our hearts get closed. Our bodies get closed up. So I'm going to ask you and invite you to take a look at when you start to notice that sense of shame or those doubts that come in that undermine your very openness in the way in which you walk around in your business. Ask yourself, through whose eyes am I looking at myself with? Whose cruel eyes are those, or whose shaming eyes are those? And then ask yourself if you would do that to your friend, or to your daughter, or to your sister. We all know that most of the time it's not something we would do. So take a look at how you would talk to somebody else and bring that back to, then how do I talk to myself? I'm not saying that you can't be open to criticism. Criticism is a very vital and important part of our learning and developing. But what I would invite you to do is to look at how that criticism is delivered to yourself. Is it kind? Is it compassionate? And is it accurate? Begin to take a look at how you talk to yourself and invite the loving, caring, compassionate side out in you. And then what starts to happen in your business. So I would say that when you begin to embody self-love, when you no longer starve yourself, when you really feel that spot inside of you that feels good about you, that is in love with you, nobody can devalue you. Not a customer, not a client, not a partner, right? Not the fashion industry or the diet industry or the beauty industry. When you really get that in here for you, when you are opening up in here for you first, never mind about opening up for everybody else, watch how all those other relationships also are impacted by that. Congruency in here creates congruency out there. So really begin to look at, if you want more, how can you be more for you? Not for anybody else. How can you be more for you? So, from lovely Tronconis, I wish you well. I look forward to seeing you here sometime or at any other Vividly Woman event. It was profound for me. It's been profound for the women that I've had the privilege of working with. And it's just a yummy, scrumptious time. So give yourself that. Take care.